Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 150 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. It is the weekend edition, and obviously I'm going to be working with an interior door today. So if you want to see what happens with all of this, you know what to do. All you need to do is stay tuned. Well, yeah, here I am working with interior doors again. This is a standard 2'6" by I believe 6'8" standard interior hollow core door. The pattern, and I'll unpack it for you in a bit here, but the pattern on this door is exactly the same as all the other doors in our house. Upstairs and downstairs will be exactly the same when I finish installing them all. It's going a little slower than I expected. I have 3 doors like this to install, including this one. And then I'm going to take one of our 3-foot bifolds and convert that into a double door, which I've been slowly acquiring the hardware for. And that takes a bit more time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these 3 doors in, maybe put some casing and baseboard on to make our house look a little bit more finished, and then tackle that door towards the end. But yeah, so like I said, this is a standard door. They are really designed for the DIYer. They really are. It shows you what tools you'll need. Well, actually, it tells you what's in the package. Like everything's here. The jamb, the stop, the hinges, the screws, everything's here to put it in. The tools required, they say a hammer, a level, a tape measure, and a screwdriver. Pretty basic stuff. And if you watched a couple videos ago, I show you how I install these doors. And if you want to take this on as a homeowner project, I would certainly encourage you to do that. The focus on today's video is going to be preparing this door to be installed. And unfortunately for me, that means it needs to be painted. And I hate painting doors. So I hate painting anything. So that's why this has dragged on so long. If these doors would have got painted when I hoped they would, chances are I'd have them installed by now, but things didn't work out the way I'd hoped. So, and that's nobody's fault. It just happens that way. And it is what it is. So today it's looking a little rainy out there. I was hoping to do this outside, but I'm going to spend this video preparing this door to be painted. Okay, so hang in there, I'll be back. Okay, well, off camera I took the luxury of cutting the face plastic. I try to leave it in as big a piece as I can. Sometimes that plastic comes in handy for other things, like you can mask something with it if you're spraying paint or whatever. If you can keep it in a larger sheet, that's great. And if you have to throw it away in the end, hey, you can throw garbage in there and use it as a garbage bag and tie it off and throw it away. So you can use the plastic that it comes in. Okay, I'm just going to take the rest of this off and show you what's in here. I think I already talked about it. Okay, just going to slide. There we go. Okay, so we've got one of the jambs. Oops. One of the jambs here, where the hinges go. Actually, I think these are totally interchangeable. Well, the hinges, there's one milled for hinges, and the other will be milled for the striker plate. But you can put these doors in any situation by flipping, you know, by say turning this around. Here, let's do it. Don't want that to break off. That's the head jamb. Okay, and you can put this door in, so swing kind of either way. Anyway, here's the header jamb. I'll get the paper off later. And I always try to protect the primed surfaces because you want to make your painting as easy as possible. Stop is included. And I bought stop for for the bifold that I'm going to convert to a double door, and I couldn't believe how expensive the stop was. MDF stop at the orange store was terribly expensive. Okay, this is the hinge jamb, as I've already said. We'll lay that out there. We don't want that to fall. And they pack pretty efficiently because here's the other two pieces of stop that you're going to need. So we'll put that on our stack here. And then, whoops, we didn't want that to happen. And then we'll take the other side off. Okay, this is all a little bit tricky when you're working by yourself. There we go, I needed that. Now you want to lean the door against something that's not going to cause damage to it. There we go. Okay, and this is the latch side jamb. Notice it's milled on both sides. So again, these are interchangeable. Okay, so we'll put that on the thickness planer here. Slide our stop back on. Now, prepping these for paint is really quite easy. You want to get rid of, they use an ample amount of hot glue to put this all together. So you want to get that all off. I usually don't cut this to length until I'm installing. But if you wanted to pre-cut everything, if it was right, you could do that. But that's up to you. So that has to come off. Okay, the door. Notice there's a little bit of an abrasion here. That's from shipping. I think paint will cover it. And the back looks good. Now, what I like to do before I put the door in is machine for the latch. Okay? Now, this door is drilled, so if you have a pound in or a knock-in latch, this would, you just knock it in. I think the ones that we have, you can take the screw-in part off of it. But you know what? When I'm working with an MDF door, MDF hollow core, okay, this is a cheap door. They're not cheap when you buy them, but as far as housing doors go, this is a cheap option. I find that the knock-ins with just MDF don't work very good. Eventually they wiggle and they start to come out, and I don't like that. So what I do is I take a router and I route out that square and make it so the screw-in one fits in perfectly, and then paint it. So I try to do all the machining to the door. I am going to go in and check for height yet too, just to make sure I don't have to cut anything off. But I think this should be a standard fit. In fact, I've kind of gambled that it is. So I'm going to machine this, and that'll be the next step, and then we'll go on to painting. Okay, well, we've changed the position of the door. What I did is I made kind of an impromptu door jack here. Just took a piece of scrap pine and screwed it on to the bottom of the door. Like, yes, this is the bottom. Now this screw here is about, I'd say, 3 inches from the edge, sorry. And this screw here is a couple 3 inches up from the middle of the door. I'll explain why I did that a little later. I intend to reuse these screw holes. Okay, I'm not going to riddle the bottom of the door with screw holes. Okay, but the important thing now is the little jig that I made to route, to inlay or inset this piece here. Now, I made this a little bit loose because I'm going to paint this and then install it. So I don't know exactly how much. I think it's going to be good for this door. If I don't like it, I may make this a little smaller by adding an epoxy filler, like auto body filler, to each side and reshaping it, making it perfect. So, but I like it for what I'm doing now. And I put 2 little pieces of pine on the side, screwed this each side on with 2 screws. It fits the door perfectly. And then I took one of my deep-throated clamps to clamp it to the door. So this is solid. And I think I've got the right depth set on the router. So we're just going to give this a little cut. This is a heavy router. Okay, here we go. Okay, I think that should do it. Yes, it's just a wee bit lower. That's good. Oops, I should get in focus here. It's just a wee bit lower. Here, I'm going to take the jig off to show you this. Yeah, I may have made it a little bit wide, but that's something I can easily fix, and this door will easily work. Yeah, that'll be just fine. So, let's maybe bring you guys in just a little bit closer. There we go. I've got a little bit too much room here, but I think maybe paint will do that. I think it should be fine, but I might tighten that up a little bit for the next one. So anyway, now this door is ready to be painted. Okay, and I'll show you how I set that up in the next segment. Well, off camera, I set everything up. This door is now ready to paint both sides and all 4 edges at the same time. So that dramatically saves time when you're doing this. So I used one of the screws. I should have had a longer piece over there and got the second hole on the other side of center of the door. I just wasn't thinking. But this screw is about 3 inches in. These are just 5-inch number 10 screws. They're really not quite heavy enough. Like if you were doing solid core doors, you would need something more substantial. But there's one 3 inches in here and one about 2 inches or so past center. So this is a 30-inch door. Center's about here. I'm about 2 inches past that. And then on the other end, there's another screw exactly the same distance from there. So what you get to do, you can paint the edges, paint one side of the door, and then you grab this screw here, and you flip it over, and you're good to go. You didn't have to carefully handle any wet areas. You didn't have to let anything dry. And it's a much better way of painting these doors. Now, I think the added advantage is if you put this past center a couple inches, you can actually roll on that side. So if you're going to finish these with a roller, it'll still work. If maybe with the roller I'd go a little bit further, but my goal is to try to spray this, and I want to try to use an airless sprayer that I bought at my favorite store, Princess Auto, and show you how, if that works. If it doesn't work, or if it works, we'll try to give you an honest appraisal of it, because it was only about 50 bucks. So if I could use that to spray doors, that'd be a great way to do it. Now obviously, I'm not going to spray this door in here. I was hoping for nice weather today, but it was kind of on and off and on and off. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video now, and then the next video I do, I'll get that airless sprayer out, or maybe not the next video, but in the next couple of videos, get that airless sprayer and see if I can spray this door. But I really like this. This works so slick. And I've got all the machining done to the door, so I can paint everything, and everything will be covered. So that is just a wonderful thing. What did I get in my hair? A bug. Okay, well that's the end of him. Anyway, so that is the end of today's video. Remember, about 3 inches from the end, about between 2 and 3 inches past the center, and you'll be able to do this just like I am. And the sawhorses I'm using are just 2x4s basically. So anyway, and I was going to close this video once already, but this time we will. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We are slowly building the subscription base of this channel. Thank you for that. But we got a ways to go yet. So that's it for the weekend edition. We'll see you sometime next week. Have a good one.